Hello. This is going to be probably a free session that I don't have a specific topic. I just want to talk about in general design and build industry. Um, to understand that one, you need to understand, of course, the players and the total amount of money involved, who leads what. Uh, because every country, every space, every city has its different dynamics. Um, for example, in United States, in different states, in different cities, there are different dynamics. In Turkey, it's different dynamics. In Dubai, it's different dynamics. In mid Europe, there are different dynamics. A lot of it's a kind of complex thing if you think design and build in a broader sense. But we can easily say that around 10% of the global GDP usually goes for this industry, construction industry, which is probably between 7 to 12 trillion dollars. Um, and roughly speaking, if you consider 7 billion people, that means approximately $1,000 per user as an average yearly spent. Am I correct? Yeah, 7 billion, 7 trillion, yeah. So minimum, maybe more, maybe 2,000. This is not, of course, but just to have something in your mind visually, what does it mean? Of course, most of this money is spent in the developing worlds plus the developed already worlds. The major cake here, for example, in construction is mostly in United States. I think it's about, if I'm not wrong, it was about 700 to $1 trillion. But if you look GCC, as far as I remember, only the fit out market was about $15 billion, including probably Saudi Arabia there. So maybe to crunch some numbers and to understand where is the market might give you a perspective on the overall things, just to understand how money flows. Because if you know how money flows and how power functions, probably you'll be a better architect, better contractor, a better professional in this market. Now, I want to just talk about one thing that really is important for everyone who works in this industry: setting your priorities right. Now, I always tell everybody, whoever knows me well knows what I mean. I have a saying I created over the years myself: kick your horses. Probably I was probably in the influence of some cowboy movie or something. You know, I always kind of remember the scene where the cowboy, hits the horse and the horse just moves, and then he takes his horse and then follows it. That was at least what I remember. So this is kind of important, because if you set your priorities and you kick your horses, the analogy of the horse here is the people that gonna work in parallel with you, so that you will be actually meeting them at a certain time in the future where actually everybody is almost prepared. So it's not going to be a linear thing, so you're going to save a lot of time. Now, time can always be measured in different ways. You can overlap things, you can do linear things. It depends on how you plan it. But my understanding of quality achievement is actually the most thing that we need for quality is not money. It's about a culture, first of all, a business culture, and second of all, time. Without time, you can't get quality in our line of business if you're not doing something very robotic and very specific. I'm talking about traditional way of construction. Again, it's very important. Now, another thing that I think we need to also know is that we have to have day-to-day checks and follow-ups with the parties, because nowadays the environment is very dynamic, a lot of things happening at the same time. This kind of old school follow-up is kind of eased down nowadays with some of the apps and some of the other technological advances that you can actually put together. For example, we try to implement Procore in our business line, where we actually have all the drawings, meetings, WIRs, work inspection requests, minutes of meetings, and all the other checklists, drawing lists, everything in one program, which in the cloud, where you can access, and multiple people can access many ways. Is another way of doing it. Again, we are using in the 3D visualization, work planning and sequencing. We use Monday.com. Before we use Asana and Trello also. Still we are using partially Trello. And to keep and put all of them in proper filing, we are also using Dropbox. Now, having said all these things, obviously the standard project management skills and methods always apply. However, there is, I can say, there is a fine line between doing this one in a very professional way and to work like an artist, because there some of the suppliers and subcontractors are close to you, you know them and you know their character, so you can take risks on them. But some of the suppliers and subcontractors you don't know, so you kind of take risks on them to push the works, calculated risk of course, and you push the works accordingly. So in these all things, that what you need to do is actually, it's a kind of relation that you set with personal day-to-day activities, but also in the beginning your contract matters. The type of your contract with your solution partners, suppliers, specialist contracts are quite important. Now, when it comes to a contract, obviously, again, you need to know the context and which country you are for this, but there are some rules that will supersede the contract type. Whatever you write in the contract will be void if you don't know what kind of contract you're writing. So I always try to avoid very strict limiting contracts. I just want to keep kind of open as much as possible, and instead of putting an effort there and corner each other, I prefer to look at the company's previous track records for delivery, their professionalism, their values, the people that are working inside, the owners. I think especially in the mid-sized companies, most of the big companies are anyway, they are very process driven, so you cannot really have personal relations that much, or even you have, it wouldn't make any difference. But I think in mid-sized companies, which kind of constitutes probably 90% of our business line, I think this is a very key method that you can. Another thing that I need to mention is the importance of the project managers' attitudes and project managers' qualities in our line of business. Whether it's a designer only or design and build project manager is even more important, because that kind of takes the lead. And this is very important. What I'm going to say right now is create urgency. I think we should show, maybe probably this is for all the team that is working in our company or in this line of business, that they have to show leadership skills, leadership characters, And the major one that I always request from everybody, a position never makes you a leader. What makes you a leader is your ability to create urgencies at the right time and to avoid wrongdoings or even catastrophic results. Creating urgency needs a lot of emotional stamina and intellectual stamina, because you have to be alert, you have to go through your play thinking the end in the mind, and then you need to reverse engineering back till you know that everything is in place. I kind of probably nowadays, especially in Dubai, time is money. When I went to LA, I was a little bit surprised. It goes very slowly, honestly speaking. Here in Dubai, it's quite fast. I think in Turkey also it's quite fast, depending on the cash flow. But probably there's a correlation between on this eastern side for so many cultural probably reasons. But I can easily say that for you to save time, the most important thing is to create urgency. To create urgency, you need to know your priorities. Those priorities are set based on their sequence, and that sequence has this 5M methodology that I previously explained you in my previous video, where you need to know what are your long lead items, who's going to do what when, and the only way you can do that one to ask questions. I think at its core, let's separate these two things. I think design thinking is kind of more philosophical, because there is a dream, something that you cannot really touch and grab, not material is there in your mind, in our minds, a collective mind, and you want to make it real by just dreaming about it, and then you start visualizing it, and it comes on paper or on screen. It becomes kind of materialized in a halfway, and then on site it's fully materialized. Now in the construction is more like an analytic thinking, but of course, since there is a human factor there and a lot of other brains that you don't really have full control of, it kind of becomes an art, because you trust other people, but other people might not be as proactive or initiative taking as you think, but you have to kind of feel that and kind of act accordingly. And you cannot always verify everything, don't forget. So I believe construction also have this kind of shortcuts, artistic approach also, which I cannot really define in words. It's like kind of a very good football director, football technical director that kind of defines his players, because the human factor is the key there. Everybody knows that it's 11 people, there's one goalkeeper, the ball is there, we know the dimensions, but every time a game is played, it's played differently. I just want to open up this, in this session, this design philosophy. Maybe we can actually take it to the other level. This is something that I really want to talk about. In construction, you actually directly, something is already dreamed of and put on paper, so it's ready to be procured and you have to implement it. So you have something core, but in design it's just the beginning. It's not there anyway. It's only in your brain and very abstract in abstract forms, abstract context, and they are words, even maybe not words. Some kind of dreams, let's say. Coming back to the whole construction now, obviously what we implement on site is not the actual concept visuals that we see. what we implement on site, what we buy, and how we fix it, which drawings we use to fix it. So you can do an amazing concept, but if you lack the thing that I just told you in between, doing a proper shop drawing, including your solution partners' drawings properly, asking the right questions at the right time, making sure that everything is properly coordinated, checking the site, checking the people, making sure that procurement is done timely, the payments are done timely. Once something is installed, you make sure that it's tested before the next thing on top will be installed on top, so on and so forth. So it's a kind of very day-to-day task-driven, kind of very analytic. In certain cases even it's kind of boring, but you have to do it. But that will be fun. When it's finished, it's the fun part that you enjoy. Almost probably you own more than the designer as a contractor what you do at Yano, because you kind of, it's like, I always see like, I probably you can compare it with a mother who is having other two persons' eggs, keep the baby 9 months and 10 days in herself. She's not the actual biological mother, but actually she kind of grow in her, so she has a tie with the baby. I feel always this kind of thing. So that's why design and build kind of fits me more, because you actually become the actual mother and the biological mother itself. Anyway, it might be funny maybe for you. Let's end this free flow session here. Just pop up if you have any questions. Again, this is mainly for the CK Architecture Interiors stuff that's going to work now with us, working with us now or in the future.